Bluegrass, Bob Dylan, The House of the Rising Sun on the harp. This is what I played in the month of August. So as a full-time professional performing harpist, I play for a lot of events, background, weddings, symphony, but I also play for about 30 senior communities every single month. Now, most people with Alzheimer's won't remember what I play one month to the next, but I'm always looking for a song that they might remember, that might ring a chord in their history. So every month I do a different theme, and this month, when it's way too hot to actually haul a big harp around, we decided to play folk music. I took my folk harp, my dusty strings out, and we played specifically American folk music. I do live in the middle of cornfields in the Midwest. We started off our American folk with Kim Robertson's gorgeous arrangement of Shenandoah. This classic folk tune talks about the wonders of the river, and I play it through my reverb pedal. It's just so gorgeous. There's not a lot of harp in Americana, but there's a lot of overlap between the Celtic music inspired by the harp and old American folk music. You see, large sections of America were settled by immigrants from Scotland and Ireland, and they brought a lot of those traditional songs with them and continued them in new ways on new instruments. Hillbilly music is reels interpreted through a banjo. So again, we break out Blackberry Blossom, a great tune from Kim Robertson's book, and we add onto it things like Cripple Creek and the Arkansas Traveler. This is just a big book of guitar songs, a fake book, real music. So after confusing everyone by playing bluegrass on the harp, we go and acknowledge the other major source of American music, the African-American spiritual. So this is a really old book, Old Tunes for New Harpists by Mildred Dilling, one of the first ones my harp teacher ever recommended. It has songs like Deep River and Go Down Moses and Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. These basic arrangements I'll often expand on, add, repeat, move around, and they inspired my own arrangements of spirituals like There is a Balm in Gilead or When the Saints Come Marching In. African-American music starts off as slaves in the field, singing, combining their traditional senses of harmony with new ideas and language and stories that they're encountering in this continent. It becomes the source of almost all originally American music since, from the classical interpretations in things like Gershwin, to things like jazz, to rock and roll, all the way to hip hop. I learned a lot of these spirituals as oral tradition. That means my dad sang them to me on long road trips, and my dad sings double bass, so it was a deep river. I did this whole thing on train songs. A lot of American folk songs are about trains set on trains. American culture developed as it pushed across the frontier with the development of the rail line, and I live on one of the major, whoops. We used to get over 100 trains a day through my city. My father called it the well-trained town. But under huge sections of American music, you can hear the rhythm, the mechanical, repetitive quality of train sounds. I created a looping pattern of that on the harp to play things like the Wabash Cannonball and This Train is Bound for Glory. The farther west you go, the more we reach into the frontier with cowboy songs. One of my go-to favorite books, Louise Trotter's fake book, Red River Valley, and then this is another one of my favorites, Medieval to Modern. Sam Milligan has a beautiful version of the really tragic Streets of Laredo. We pulled some other golden oldies out of Mildred Dilling, like Old Folks at Home or Way Down on the Swanee River. Shenandoah, Deep River, Red River Valley, Way Down on the Swanee River. There are a lot of rivers in this program. I had a joke about rivers. Oh well, it's water under the bridge. So after we've pulled together these different traditions, the hillbilly and bluegrass inspired by Celtic music, the wonderful harmonies of African American and blues, the distant, lonesome sadness of cowboy songs, what most people actually think of in American folk is the folk revival. I ended up doing a really deep dive onto the history of folk music this month because my parents are old hippies. They've always talked about things like Peter, Paul, and Mary. But when you actually look back on it, Some of the earliest records, pressed wax records, were of musicologists going out into different parts of America and recording real people, people that they would meet in a saloon or on a back porch. These early records inspire what's called the folk revival, with singers like Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger. So I played This Land Is Your Land, This Land Is My Land by Woody Guthrie, and Pete Seeger, If I Had a Hammer. You can actually make these really cool hammer effects if you use a round section of your fingers on the soundboard of the harp. Any performance where you get to hit your instrument is a good performance. For those songs, I just pulled lead sheets off the internet. What's really interesting about the folk revival are these are modern singer-songwriters who are using really old forms, old styles of songs to write about things that are happening in their day. You get things like a work song or a field song that's reinterpreted as a protest song. You get things like Scarborough Fair that Bob Dylan takes and turns into Girl from the North Country. But my favorite example is actually the Canadian Gordon Lightfoot, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. I don't have music for this, I just play it from the chords that you can find with the lyrics online. Add on several layers of reverb to it and the haunting backstory. It is an all-time favorite. Gordon Lightfoot wrote a sea shanty in 1975 about the sinking of this iron ore ship. I actually live near Lake Michigan, and we call it a lake. But let me tell you, this is a lake that has a horizon line and a temperature like the North Atlantic. Looking for folk music is also a great place to go to Sylvia Woods' groovy song of the 60s. Since I've been playing for over 20 years and Sylvia Woods' arrangements are often aimed to be very accessible to beginners, I'll often elaborate on them. Like take it almost like a fake book, play the melody line, and then do my own things with the bass. But there is one version that I play almost verbatim out of this book. There is a house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun. The House of the Rising Sun is one of the oldest, most iconic American folk songs. And it's really influential. Not only is it so old, but definitely American, like it's not brought over from another country, according to most musicologists. It was covered by every major artist, Woody Guthrie, Bob Dylan, Pete Seeger, but it was one of the turning points when the British rock invasion band, The Animals, covered it electric. So I have a pickup installed in my folk harp, so I run it through some effect pedals and amplify it for my gigs, which means that I play this song electric. Also, like a lot of folk songs, it has a very consistent meter, which means you can swap in other lyrics. Amazing Grace, sung to the tune of the House of the Rising Sun. Try it. Now the symphony is not in season for me, but I did play some weddings. We're doing an all Taylor Swift wedding with Enchanted for the walk down the aisle and Wildest Dreams for the recessional. And I got to play a Tangled themed wedding. So much Disney music. We did Kingdom Dance, we did I Saw the Light for several of the bridesmaids. We did I Will Go the Distance for the recessional. So what are some of your favorite folk songs, or what did you play in the month of August? Go listen to these songs and let me know below what you want to hear for another month's program.